What up, Unfiltered fam? Welcome back to another one.
Another one.
An Unfiltered Hard Talks with the Dawkins. And of course, we're here today. We're going to be having a very interesting conversation, babe. Of course, we're going to talk about something that many couples argue about all the time: individuality inside of a committed relationship slash marriage.
Yes.
So a lot of people, feel as though they should be able to be in a relationship and maintain who they are, their identity, their individuality. And of course, that is something that we support. That is something that you always talk about. But
yeah, the importance of individuality.
importance of
In a
individuality.
relationship.
But there are some important questions to ask. What are some of those important questions?
So, one of the things that comes to me
Mhm.
when I think about the questions around individuality where relationship is concerned, how far should this level of individuality go?
Mhm.
And another thing too is how something we always talk about, how far should privacy or secrecy go, or should there even be any form of privacy or secrecy in
Right.
relationships?
Right. Another question is, how far does the friendship or friendships go?
Of the same sex or the opposite sex?
Well,
Both ways.
both ways.
Okay.
Because some people want to have that, be able to be in their relationship, and they want to keep their old friends. Like a woman might feel as though being in a relationship should not rob her of the opportunity to have her male best friend or a few male friends.
Yes, or in the case of the female situation, we watched a TikTok video or a YouTube video shorts one time, and this young lady was out with her friends, and the guy asked a question, and something about, would you make your man a sandwich, or if your husband came home hungry, what would you do? And both of her friends
Mhm.
said, he can make his own sandwich. Oh, F no, I'm not doing that. And then she said, I would just make him a sandwich.
Right.
What kind of influence do those friends have on her?
Right, right. So there's a lot to consider. Another thing is, what about the girls' trip?
Girls trip.
Or girls' trips and boys' trips.
Girls trips and guys trips.
Right, or guys' trips, if you want to call it that.
Mhm.
How far should that go? What about the clubs? For those who want to maintain that club lifestyle. There's a lot of questions to be asked. So the question is, how far should those things go when you are in a committed relationship? Should they exist? You know, are they a threat to relationships? Are they relationship poison? There's a lot of things to consider. There's a lot of questions to ask. And a lot of people, sadly, in this era, believe that they should be able to maintain their individuality while you're in a committed relationship.
Within that negative context.
Within that context. So, how can it affect the relationship? How has it been proven to affect the relationship? And the question is, what does the statistics say about these things? Let's talk about it.
Our love isn't absent problems, but it sure is absent drama. You deserve this kind of love. Unfiltered Hard Talks with the Dawkins.
So, babe, this issue of individuality and identity, and we know that the whole insecurity thing is attached to it because people who want to be who they are. How does this affect relationships, in your view?
Well, individuality is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I strongly believe that individuality should be maintained in relationship. The misunderstanding comes about when people enter relationships and live like they're single
Mm-hmm.
in said relationship.
Right.
So individuality is something that should be maintained outside of and inside of a relationship. But the actions surrounding when you're inside of a relationship should be vastly different from when you're not
Right.
in a relationship.
Right, because there is a difference between maintaining your own identity inside of a relationship and living like you're single. And that's where the line needs to be drawn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of people, especially many, I want to say younger people, but many individuals who are getting involved in relationships now don't know how to differentiate between the two. So a lot of people try to maintain who they are, but by doing so, it brings a lot of harm because not only are you trying to maintain your own identity, but you're actually living as you are single and not as someone who is committed. So that difference needs to be identified. It needs to be clear, and that's where I think a lot of people get it twisted.
And you're so right. And this is why, in this particular context, a lot of modern relationships are actually failing. Number one, people want a covenant or a partnership without any form of accountability. Another thing is commitment without sacrifice.
Yes, a lot of people want the commitment, but they don't want to make the sacrifice that it takes to really, strengthen that commitment, keep that commitment, or keep that relationship afloat. Mm-hmm. And that's also a major issue.
Another thing is we all want love. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants love, but without the transparency. Everyone wants to have, most people just want to have a secret life outside of their relationship. So love without transparency is one of the bigger, I think it's the biggest issue
that we're seeing
in modern dating.
Yeah. You know where I stand on this. I believe that privacy will always lead to secrecy. Both privacy and secrecy just goes hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's healthy privacy, but why do you need privacy inside of a committed relationship? I can understand if you're dating. I can understand if you are courting and it has not gotten to the marital phase, But in marriage, I can't understand. I cannot see that privacy. And even in a committed relationship where you're not married yet, there are there I just believe that there should not be any privacy inside that relationship. There should be transparency. I don't mean that you want to be looking at somebody's bank account. You want to divulge that information, so social security. I'm not saying that give someone who you are not married to all of that information. Of course, those things that you're going to keep. But one of the things that I've seen in many relationships or noticed is that people are in committed relationships, marriage, and they have a lock on the phone, there's a lock on the bank account, there's a lock on almost everything. And there is no transparency. Even in as simple as going out, there is no transparency. So there's a lot of things that I look at, and it contributes to the breakdown of a lot of relationships because of a lack of transparency. And we talk about transparency versus honesty.
Yes.
Transparency is I'm going to be forthcoming with you without you having to ask. Mm-hmm. Honesty is I tell you something, but it's not really clear. You have no clue or understanding what is going on. You just know that, hey, he said he's going out. That's it. Mm-hmm. So it leads to you asking me now, where did you go? Who did you go with? Instead of me just...
Transparency would have omitted the need to ask those questions.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a marriage killer, one of the things killing modern relationships for a fact.
And a lot of relationships these days, people are acting like they're married, but they're still harboring the dating kind of habit.
And some who are in the dating phase, they actually want to live like they're married. Like, I think a lot of people want that wifely or husbandly responsibility in the dating phase, but they don't really want to live as though they are in the marital phase, So it's like, I want this. The woman will say, I want this guy to do this. I want him to do that. I want him to provide all of those marital responsibilities. But at the same time, you're still living like you're single.
Yeah.
And the guy wants the woman to be the traditional girlfriend, but you're living like you're single. So I think it goes both ways where that is
Yes.
concerned.
Absolutely.
So definitely that's a challenge as well. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, because I think, especially among women, a lot of times when men try to, maintain their standards, they're seen as being insecure. And that's another thing that you find, is that a lot of men are now being classed as insecure because they do not support the lifestyle that a lot of women want to live while in a committed relationship. And if a man has standards and he has boundaries, then of course there are certain things that he's not going to accept, you know. And the reality is, when it comes to this, is that I will say to anybody, if it's a case where the woman is in the club and you are going to the club, and that's where both of you met, or both of you meet, I don't think that either of you should be in a committed relationship. And it's not to say that people who are, or who are people who have met in the club, have not found love, and have not been able to effectively build something lasting. It's just to say that if the club is somewhere you are at in your life, then I don't think that you're looking for committed relationships. So for the man that goes to the club and see the girl and take her, get into a committed relationship, and then you expect her to stop going to the club, like, I understand it, but the reality is, what do you expect? For the girl who sees the guy going to the club, and then she gets committed to him and expect him to stop going to the club, what are you expecting? My thing is, if you see the girl dresses a certain way, if you see her going to the club, if you see her going on all of those girls trips, like, it's telling that this is somebody who wants to live and enjoy life and might not be ready for a committed relationship, and vice versa with the guy,
That's what I don't understand. I remember Candace Owens went on a podcast, and a bunch of OnlyFans or sex workers were on the platform debating her, sharing their ideas, and she was also sharing her thoughts and beliefs. And many of these women said that guys started dating them and somehow started feeling a certain way about the fact that they were doing what they were doing. And guys,
it's crazy.
it's crazy to find yourself with somebody like that and expect them to change. What were you? You were probably just looking for sex, and you caught feelings. You were looking for sex. You got the sex. You caught feelings. She's like, okay, we can have a relationship, but this is what I do. Guys, stop.
It's
Not
a lot.
cool.
Yeah.
What were you looking for? That's you were looking for what you got. You got what you were looking for. So it's crazy.
And that is how you find a lot of people end up in relationships that were not meant to be relationships in the first place.
One night stands turn into full blown relationship.
One night
and
stands
also
turn into full blown
because people are not taking the time to date. So this whole part where we talk about, you're acting as though you're married, but you're behaving single because you still have the single DNA, the single strand within you. That's not good. People need to go through the dating process.
Yeah.
You're not going through the dating process. You're just hooking up, having sex, and then that's a whole relationship.
Yeah. A question I want to ask you, though, because you often talk about this, you often highlight the fact and celebrate the fact that you are able to be in a marriage with me, and you are able to maintain your identity, who you are. What does that look like for you, so that, we can have an understanding as to what a healthy individuality looks like in a relationship.
Okay. And now that you mentioned that, I think it's a mix of rebellion
Mm-hmm.
and also comfort and safety.
Mm-hmm.
Rebellion in the sense that I'm not being anybody that I was not before.
Right.
I'm just a new and improved version of myself. So I'm rebelling in the sense that I'm never going to allow myself to disappear and dissipate into somebody's idea of what I should be.
Right.
So that's the rebellion aspect. And the familiarity aspect of it is that I know you and I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
So I can actually be myself.
Right.
I can disagree with you. I can agree with you. I can be myself. I can be honest and safe. What does that look like? Being an individual in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It means liking purple, and they don't like purple, and the world still spins. Stocks crash, they rise, and life goes on. It's about having your different values, and I'm not talking about core values.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be that I believe in polygamy and you believe in monogamy and we're together. I'm not talking about core values.
Right.
You have the books that you like, the genre of music that you like, the type of color that you like, those whimsical stuff, and they could even be concrete stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
You might like curly hair, and I prefer a perm because it's easier for me, but it's not anything crazy that's going to cause our relationship to erode.
Or I'm not going to be the man who's going to tell you that this is what you have to do.
This is what I have to do.
Yeah.
So it's
being able to be you.
It's being able to be you in the most positive way as possible. Right. So it shouldn't be that if you're in a relationship with a guy and you dressed a certain way and he pulls you aside and he says, hey, you're kind of showing too much skin. I know that guy was actually that guy was actually looking at you, and I know what guys think when they see girls dressed this way. They're probably thinking you're a hoe. They probably want to have sex with you. They're probably degrading you in their mind, even though I know you're an intelligent woman. That is him loving you. It's not necessarily him trying to change who you are, because honestly, changing the whole dress culture to modesty is never a bad thing, whether it comes from a man or another woman. It's never a bad thing. So that's not somebody trying to change your identity or your or change your individuality. If nudity and skimpy dressing is a part of what you value and it's just a deal breaker for you, that guy or that girl is just not for you.
Yeah, and that's true. The way you explained it, the way you expressed it, it's not rebellion at all. There is no point,
in a sense, in my mind,
in your mind,
yes, because
but the reality of it is being in a relationship and maintaining your identity as a person, who you are, is not rebellious. If anything, I believe that it's being human. I believe that all of us will maintain who we are. And what we do is that we combine who we are with who our partners are, and we join that together to become one. That's true. So it's not rebellious at all.
That's why choosing a partner is so wise.
Right, and that's why suitability is key.
Not wise.
Because you must ensure that whoever your partner is, whoever you are, you can both fulfill each other. And that's important. Another thing that you mentioned too is about the dress. And you are so right. If you see the girl dressed in a certain way, just leave her alone.
Or she has a certain career.
Just leave her alone.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Because a lot of times what happens, and this is something that has happened to me in the past, you meet somebody, you get in a committed relationship, and then boundaries are laid out. The boundaries are accepted. But as soon as the girl realizes that she already has the prize, she decides to live her life how she wants to live it. And I'm sure for women, they have experienced that with men. So that's another thing where promises are made. Although them say promises are comfort to a fool. Promises are made, our boundaries are agreed upon, but those boundaries are not followed through on. And that is part of the problem that you see. But in reality, I will say, if you see the girl, if you see the guy doing certain things, just don't date her. Just like when we were watching an episode of Pop the Balloon and Find Love, I think you made mention of this, and the guy asked the girl before he said yes. They have made mention of the dress. And I'm just asking you, based on what you have on your Instagram and based on what you have on now, what will you say this is? And she said, will you say it's a 6? And she said, yes, I would say it's a 6, or I'll take it up a 7. And he said, what about the Instagram? She said, it's about a 6. It doesn't get more skimpy than this. He asked her if we were supposed to get to know each other and get serious, would you be okay with me telling you to tone it down a little? She said it would be a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker for her.
And he popped.
Yeah.
And those questions need to be asked. But at the same time, based on what I just expressed before this, a lot of women would have said yes because they want to match, or because they probably see the guy, he's attractive, he has his life all together, and they just want, hey, so I'm not going to give up on this opportunity. A lot of people will convince themselves in that moment that it is something that they will be willing to do, but eventually it becomes a problem in the relationship in the future. So my thing is, if that's the way she's dressing now, just don't date her.
That's a core part of her or his value right now,
right,
that is going to have to change on their own terms.
Exactly. So for me, you want to see that person outside of the club.
And honestly, it seems
not living that kind of life.
Yes.
So that they have done the work and positioned themselves for commitment.
Yes, absolutely. And dress is a big thing. Dress, the girls' trips, the boys' night out. I think those are the top 3 that sparks controversy, and also sparks the urge for people to say the word insecure.
Yeah.
So if you don't want me to go out on a girl's trip, it's because you're insecure.
If
you don't want me to go out with the guys Saturday night to just have a few shots or just to play pool, you're insecure. Or if you don't want me to dress sexy, it's because you're insecure. Or if you don't want me to wear a stringer top or shorts to the gym, it's because you're insecure. And honestly, that it needs to be analyzed on a deeper level. It can't just stop at you're insecure.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't understand is that at the end of the day, we are all humans, and we can beat our chest up and we can make proclamations to say, hey, I know who I am.
I'm gonna be faithful.
I'm gonna be faithful.
I'm not gonna cross this line. But you do have to put boundaries.
And I've asked you if you would ever cheat on me, and your response was, I would never put myself in a position to cheat on you. And I respected that response because that's the same response I've always given you. If you had told me that you would never cheat on me, it would have seriously concerned me. Because I know that you don't have the power to tell me that. None of us have the power to say that we will never do this. Is it to say that we should not affirm in ourselves that we will never do certain things? We should. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we never put ourselves in the position to do certain things. Because guess what? Satan only wants you in the position one time. He only wants you there one time.
And it could just be in your mind.
And he's just going to work. He's going to continue working. It's like something I've always heard when I was growing up as a child. Well, not growing up, but since I joined the faith, we always used to talk about the fact where they always used to say, hey, don't do certain things, or don't start inviting girls over when I was going to university, because even though you might think you are strong, next thing you know, that continues and eventually it leads to sex. So, or sometimes it's innocent. It's innocent at the core that it's an invitation, let's have dinner. Next week, an invitation, let's have dinner, you hug tightly. Next week, let's have dinner. Next thing you know, you might kiss on the cheek. So sooner or later, eventuality or eventually things might just happen. And the devil always like to keep us at that sweet spot where it doesn't look too outrageous or look too crazy or it doesn't feel like it's sin. It's innocent, but he just keeps us at that sweet spot and just keep working. So the idea of going to the club while you're in a committed relationship, putting yourself in that position, and again, statistics is there to show that people who are in committed relationship, who put themselves in these positions, are more likely to fail. Than somebody who is just a homebody. I'm at home, I'm chilling. And it's not to say that all people who are at home don't cheat too. It's where the interest lies. If you're committed, you're just going to be committed. But the reality is you can be a committed man, a committed woman, but you find yourself in
or place yourself.
in
Not
compromise.
find yourself.
Place yourself.
Well, people make it seem like,
Yeah.
oh, I just happened to be married to be married to a pastor. No,
Exactly.
you decided to marry to someone that is of this stature and this faith. You decided to go to this place, so the outcome is what it is because you have choice in the matter. So, yeah.
Yeah, babe, and research also shows that people who, maintain their personal individuality in a relationship usually have higher relationship satisfaction and less codependency. So, maintaining your individuality is key. But again, how far should that go?
Yeah.
And that's a question.
Why individuality is so important is because each person brings a level of uniqueness to a relationship that can be its strength.
Yes.
So if we are both the same,
we learn from each other.
We are
too.
going to handle situations the same. Things are just going to be very monotone in our lives because honestly, what am I going to bring to the relationship if I'm just like you? Or if you are just like me.
Right.
As I said before, we're gonna handle conflicts the same. We're gonna think about things the same. There's not gonna be much diversity. Whereas you may come from a rich family and I come from a poor family, we come together. There are things and people that you can speak to and situations that you understand that I will never understand. And if in the situation of being from a poorer background, I'll be able to navigate speaking to the middle class / poor man or woman.
Right.
So it's important to maintain individuality because I believe that individuality in relationships brings strength.
Yeah.
Yes,
they do.
It brings a unique level of strength. Look, for example, at AD Kingdom and Empire. Look at Pilate and Pilate's wife. They're not the same in any way, but guess what? They're
like fire and water.
Yeah,
they're opposite.
So, but they work together well.
Yeah.
Imagine if both of them. Imagine if the high priest's wife was Pilate's wife.
Oh yeah.
That would
have been
dangerous
because they would have been the exact same.
They'd been the exact same. They would just be. There would just be a bloodbath massacre.
There needs to be a balance.
There has to be a balance.
There needs to be a balance.
So,
and that's another reason why the idea of compatibility to me makes completely no sense whatsoever. Because the idea of finding somebody who you're 100% compatible with, it doesn't even exist in reality. It doesn't exist. Yeah. But another thing that I wanted to point out clear, because I know for a lot of people, privacy is the new 21st century word for secrecy.
I need some privacy. I need some space.
Yeah. And the reality is, healthy privacy is conversations I might have with my best friend. There are certain things that
he wants to share with you that
him,
yes, exactly,
that you don't need to know about. Or it could be you might work like a lot of people who work in the psychological field. There are certain things that you're not supposed to share with your partner. It's between you and your client. Those things, privacy. Probably personal space. I think everybody in their relationship should have personal space. And by personal space, I mean that even though we're married, there are times when I want to do my own thing. I might want to watch something. You might want to read a book. I want to listen to something and I have this thing in my ears. I want to listen to something. You might, want to listen to songs. So things like those, you need to have that space to be able to be you and do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
You
And
know.
what I'm thinking about is you mentioned psychology, and in a clinical setting or in a therapy session, a psychologist might not be able to is not but under law, they should not disclose the patient's information.
Right.
And I believe that is 100% good. That's true. Privacy is only a problem when whatever is done in private,
Affects
majorly a problem.
Mm.
It's majorly a problem when what happens in that privacy has a direct link to harm and hinder the propelling of the success of that relationship. So if the therapist is speaking to a client that has somehow started to have feelings for him or her, and that is not brought up to the therapist, to the partner, then that is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Say, honey, or my babe, I'm going to have to change this client because they're developing feelings for me, and that's something that affects what we have going on.
Right. So there should be boundaries
Switch.
at that time.
You don't have to tell me what mental health issues they suffer from.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to tell me how old they are, whether it's a male or female. There is a person
Mm-hmm.
that I'm counseling that is developing, that has told me explicitly that I'm dealing with this. Boom.
Right.
Or in a case where a client starts stalking you, that becomes now a civil matter and a threat to our relationship. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but some of the things that we can definitively state in, and just addition to those are like, don't touch my phone energy.
Always bringing your phone to the bathroom, codes changing every 2 weeks.
The secret apps with the lock on it.
Yeah. You thought I had a secret app.
When?
You thought I had a secret account.
Oh, Instagram?
Yes.
No, I didn't thought that you had a secret.
You sure?
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was on the phone. I didn't even know.
I was just saying that, remember, there should be no accounts inside this home with any password or any
the other can't get to.
Right. So I wasn't. That's a boundary that we established to protect our marriage.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should have a boundary.
Everybody should have a boundary.
I should be able to take up your phone at any given time
and not be worried about what you're gonna see, or I shouldn't be having a heart attack because he has my phone.
And another thing,
you remember those video, babe?
Right.
Those videos where the guy, just the boyfriend or the husband or whoever, snatched the phone and runs out. And these women, I don't know if it was staged or not, but I'm sure there were some real ones. The women were going crazy. Oh my gosh, he has it. He's gonna see it. I'm like, what? Right. What? Why are you in that relationship in the first place if there are things in your phone that you are afraid that? The only time I've tried to hide my phone from you in our marriage was when I was ordering a gift for your birthday. I didn't want you to see it. I wanted it to be a surprise, right? That's the only time.
That's kind of hard.
And it's kind of hard too.
Well, because I understand that difficulty. Sometimes you just maybe just ask somebody else
to order,
best friend or
right?
Sister,
exactly. That's definitely what I'm gonna do next time. Have them ship it to the address.
Yeah. Because we have had this discussion one time, and I told you that transparency only counts when I ask and it's immediately given or shown.
Yeah,
it doesn't count after. Right.
Yes.
So if I because every partner you take note of your partner, their actions and how they are on a regular. And so if you see them out of sync, you're going to ask questions, and nothing is wrong with asking questions. For us, if anything, transparency has helped us to develop more trust in each other, more than anything else. Yeah. Because at any given time you said, what are you looking at? Boom, the phone is right in your face. And for me, as I've said to you before, it doesn't matter if you say to me, you don't need to see what's on my phone. No, you cannot. You have full access to my phone. You can take it up and look when I'm done with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't count because in that moment, what have you done?
What have you done?
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So transparency only works or it only counts when it is requested and given immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Anything outside of that, it's not transparency.
Mm-hmm.
You can throw it in the secrecy box or privacy box. Another thing too is the deleted messages. A lot of people have the conversations and they delete
the
them.
messages.
That's something that I experienced in my past relationship where conversations were had with male best friend, and they were deleted. But the conversations with the male best friend was deleted, and I was like, no, that's not suspicious.
Yes, very suspicious.
So those are some of the things that we talk about when it comes to the privacy and the secrecy. It's important that transparency is key in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And it's important that transparency is in full effect all the time. If your partner asks you something 500 times in one day, show them 5 million times.
Give them the reassurance.
Give them the reassurance all the time, because the reassurance is only going to build trust. Reassurance builds trust. So that is important. And psychology, again, studies have shown that secrecy predicts relational decline
and distrust
and
what we always talk about, emotional distance.
So when that question is asked, the request is made, the bid is made. What are you doing on your phone? And the defense is thrown up.
An hour goes by, anything could happen.
Then you are creating in your partner's mind the doubts, and then your partner is saying that they cannot trust you. And eventually it is going to erode the relationship. Absolutely. And break it down.
And love, that is so important that you mention that, because if we are now one and there's a part of your life that I cannot access, that means that true intimacy will not thrive.
Cannot thrive. And that is so important. Another thing we want to touch on is the girls and boys trip, because it seems to me like whoever does not agree with their partner going to the boys trips and the girls trip is insecure.
Honestly, let me tell you a story. A friend of mine, very close friend of mine, I remember while I was working, I was single at the time, and I had texted her, we should all go on a cruise, we should go on a girls trip or something like that. And she messaged me back, rightfully so, and said, girl, I'm married. And I remember around that time, I felt so offended. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, why are you... I'm married. Girl, I'm married. Those things are for you single girls. When I tell you, I felt so offended. I never shared this with her, but I felt so offended. But she was setting up a boundary. Not that she thought that we were rebels, because we are women of standards. But she just knew that my life is different now. I can't just be up and gone on a whim. I'm married.
Right.
I have to check in with my partner.
Because you have responsibilities.
You have different responsibilities.
You have commitments.
The single life and married life are two different things.
And that is why, as that gentleman says, get it out of your system.
Yes, get all that crap out of your system.
All that crap out of your system.
And then when you're ready, you'll know you're ready.
Yeah, and it's not to promote hookup culture.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. We believe in abstinence before marriage.
Yes.
Right?
Sex is going nowhere, guys.
Sex basically seals the deal, as we have had that conversation.
Is going nowhere.
Yeah,
it's the one thing that has been around forever. It's going nowhere.
And that thing carries covenantal seal. It has covenantal weight. So sex is not casual. You might see it as something being casual, but it's not. There's a lot of responsibilities and consequences that comes from that. But yeah, is it a bad thing? I should say, is it a bad thing being out with the boys? Is it a bad thing being out with the girls?
When you think about that, it's usually a night thing.
It depends. It depends on time, location,
company,
and company. Because if the morals are not the same, right? We talk about the peer pressure. If the location is not a safe
putting
place,
yourself in a certain environment,
then temptation increases.
Cultivates that level of
So if I'm going out with and all my friends are married men, because you have that guy culture and you have that girl culture. The guy does something, we're locked in. The girl does something, we're locked in. The girl code and the bro code. So neither sex can be trusted in these environments. Worse when the men inside of these environments are not men of stature. Men who follow God, men who love God, and men who walk according to God's will. A bunch of pastors going out, and I'm not saying every pastor is good, because some of them really, worse than some of these guys
the
out
secular
there.
guys, yeah.
But let me change it from pastors. Throw out the pastors. Not saying that all pastors are the same, but majority are. But if a bunch of godly men are going out, men who men of valor, men who stand for God, then it's a different story. These men are probably going to take a walk or talk about the Bible. A bunch of women are going out, women of valor, again, women who stand for God,
virtue.
a woman of virtue, then it's a different story, But in reality, when you have that mixed group hanging out together, anything can happen.
Yeah.
You have committed men versus non-committed men. The influence.
Look at what it did to Israel. The mixed multitude. Caused the division and a lot of confusion. And babe, there's a research out there from Harvard that we were looking at.
So what's that? Contagious research.
Contagious status research that states that 60 to 70% of people are more likely to adopt the behaviors, the habits, the moral standards of their dominant friend group. And that, guys, includes attitude about cheating, disrespect, reckless behavior, emotional availability, how you speak about your partner, especially how you solve conflict. You know what I heard? Babe? Don't go to your single friend who hates men and tell her about your problems with your husband. You know what she's going to tell you? Leave that man. All these men are trash. I told you that's what happened to me. It's going to happen to you. It's important to guard the circles that we find ourselves in. So if you are with a group of friends and you're the only you're the only married person, remember that one girl that she was the only one in her group that was married? Right. Eventually, if she finds herself hanging around those girls, the 60 to 70% chance that she'll say to her husband, "Go make your own sandwich," is very high. It's very high.
There are some people who have a strong mindset, and they are who they are, irrespective of who is around them.
But why would you want to put yourself in that situation?
Yeah, like you don't want that.
You're going out at night with girls that are just wild and are just gonna take shots, and you're married.
Even if you don't believe it, even if you don't believe it, you are being influenced.
Absolutely.
And eventually,
even subconsciously,
you are being influenced, and eventually you are going to realize when it is too late. When it starts affecting your relationship. So it's very important that you surround yourself with people who are of the same mindset.
The same value.
You can't call yourself a godly person, but you're hanging out every day with sinners. And it's not to say that you should not be around sinners. You said
sinners in a broad way. Like,
well, let me, because we're all sinners saved by grace.
Absolutely.
But I mean, men who are not of the same mindset, or women who are not of the same mindset.
You can't be a married woman hanging out with your friend that's single and prostituting herself.
Exactly. So
it doesn't make any sense.
That's important. That's important.
Because you're 60 to 70% more likely to eventually adopt that behavior. That's based on Harvard research, guys.
Well, just touch on the guys and the
Yes.
guys' night out and the trips, but hey, the girls' trips. And I think because we see it on the internet so much, research has shown that women are more likely to cheat while traveling than being at home.
Wow.
You know, and it has also shown that peer influence during all girls trip increases risky behavior.
Wow.
And this is something that I have seen in my work. In one of the jobs that I used to do, transporting people from one place to the other, there is a lot of women who came to that place for marriage. I'm talking bridal parties, and they're hooking up. Even the bridemaid is
the bride.
The bride, not the bridemaid, is hooking up before the wedding or during that weekend trip with other men. You know, I've heard the stories, I've seen it, I've listened to the conversations during those trips, and I'm telling you, it's crazy. It is crazy. Sad. It is crazy. Crazy things. I know for a fact that these things, as I said, it's just a setup. If I'm getting married, me don't want to go nowhere, Rasta. I don't want to go to Dubai for a boys' night out before the wedding. Why?
What's
Why?
the purpose of that?
What's the purpose of me going to hang out with the boys with the whole
Single
group party before my wedding? That's that weekend or that moment. I need to be doing all the mental prep to ensure that everything is where they are supposed to be
and that this is the right
and
move
this
that
is
I
the
want
right
to
move
take.
that I don't want to be partying before my wedding. Like, what am I doing? So a lot of times these things increase the risk of promiscuity among men and among women.
Yes.
Not only with women. Some of us might only be able to have seen it or experienced by hearing the conversation and different things with women. But the reality is it happens with men too. Those are things that we don't subscribe to. And those are things that I would encourage anybody who is in a committed relationship, marriage, like, do not subscribe to those things. Set up those boundaries early so you can know where your partner stands. Like, I believe that when you're in a committed relationship, your life should be about you and your partner and what you're building together.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be about anybody else. And it's not to say that you're going to cut people off.
Yes.
But you know that there are certain things. Hey, the cookout at home and I'm there with you, or the cookout at my best friend's house and we are both going, that's the environment you want. You don't want an environment that separates the two because that is just increasing the risk of promiscuity.
And infidelity. Babe, a lot of people would think that, so you're a controlling kind of guy or you're a controlling kind of girl. You don't want your husband or you don't want your wife to have any time with her friends or his friends. That's not the point. Because the truth is, we know that harmless fun can turn into anything, right? Now you have yourself in a situation where you have an opportunity and a lowered inhibition. He's out with the guys. He had a few shots or a couple beers. He is in an environment and his inhibitions are lowered.
Right.
Or she is in an environment, her inhibitions are lowered. Anything can happen. So harmless fun can turn into a flame that destroys your relationship and your reputation.
Yes. Psychology calls it moral displacement. Means that people behave differently
based on the environment
when they're in an environment with no accountability.
Wow.
So if all your friends are, we're locked in. Whatever happens in this circle stays in this circle. Because come on, how many men are going to tell their best friend or their friend's wife that he cheated? How many women are going to tell on their friends best friend husband that she cheated? So moral displacement is a thing, and in most cases things happen and the husband never know, the wife never knows. So those things are things to consider.
And you're so right. And people need to understand that a committed relationship or marriage is about two people becoming one, not about one person losing their identity or another losing their identity.
And that is the essence of marriage.
Yes.
Two becoming one.
Oneness isn't losing yourself, your passions, or even your identity. In a sense, it's really about learning how to be your full self while being deeply connected. So you don't have to give up your horse riding. You don't have to give up painting or even dancing. But it means shared truth, shared values, shared accountability.
It's also about alignment, transparency, understanding, being fully you and feeling fully safe. So all of those things are important. The idea of wanting to be in a committed relationship while living like you're single is crazy. And it just shows that you are not at that place where you are ready for that level of commitment. And no shade on people who want to do these things. If that's what you want to do, be you. But just don't be accountable. Be respectful enough to tell the other person that this is where I'm at.
This is what I want.
This is what I want. I'm not ready for that kind of commitment right now. And the other person should know that if you see somebody living a certain way, just expect that they are who they are, what they portray. If clubbing is what they're into,
that's what you're gonna get.
That's what you're gonna get. If dressing revealing is what they're into, that's what
it's gonna be like. Yeah.
If having the whole guys friends and female friends and all of those things, like, yeah.
Do a lot of guys have female? Well, the girls that have male friends are, I don't know. It's usually you usually hear that it's the women that have male friends, but I was saying that in my mind it doesn't seem like men have a lot of cases like that where they're being bashed for having female friends, but most of the guys that are friends with that one female are not usually in a relationship with anyone.
No, sometimes they're just chilling.
They're just chilling.
Or they're just waiting for the opportunity.
Or just waiting for the opportunity. Dang.
But like
what would you say to a guy like that just waiting for the opportunity? What's the point?
I blame the woman.
So
I blame the woman
for entertaining that.
There's no such thing as male and female best friend. It doesn't exist. I'm not going to say that you don't have men who have been friends, cordial friends, with women for all eternity. Probably and some of these men are older men, and I'm not going to say that you don't have women who are the same, and they have never been a case of, well, at least we assume.
Never seen it.
At least we assume. I've heard people talk about their family member who have been, but listen, for me, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter with age either.
Worse in this era?
Not in this era.
It doesn't exist at all. So the question again, babe, how far should your individuality go in your relationship? Is maintaining your individuality a harm? Or is it a positive thing? We believe that it's both positive and negative because it really depends on the extent to which you want to maintain that individuality.
It not even the extent. It all depends on your values and if they align with the relationship that you're subjecting yourself to.
There you go.
So if there's an agreement on promiscuity being normal, then there's no problem there where individuality and being who you are is concerned. However, if there was an agreement, then yeah,
it should be followed through.
Yeah.
And to the men, stop dating women who clearly portrays promiscuous behavior. And
expect in them to be faithful.
You have a problem with that or expect them to change for you.
They're going to change for themselves.
Nobody's going to change for you. People only change for themselves. Right? And for the women, stop calling men insecure because they do not support your promiscuous behavior. If a man doesn't support you dressing revealing, bid him goodbye. Tell him that this is who I am, this is what I want to be, and clearly it
Take it or
doesn't
leave
work
it.
for him. So
Take it or
you
leave
think
it.
he should move on.
Mhm.
You know, to somebody
Don't
else
string
who
him along.
fits his. Don't string him along.
And
You
then
know?
know that that's not for you. It's just
Yeah,
not for
it's
you.
just not for
Don't be
you.
sticking around because
But
you want goods.
yeah, but stop throwing insecurity around and oh, he's insecure, he's controlling. Like people are who they are. Some people have different morals, values, and standards, and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's okay if they don't fit your lifestyle, let them be for both men and women. That's my encouragement. And again, guys, thanks for stopping by. Thank you guys for being a part of this discussion. Tell us what you think about this conversation. Comment down below. Be a part of the conversation, and we look forward to seeing you guys down in the comment section.
Yes. And as always, you said like?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, and as always, if you like this content, this conversation, please go ahead and like and share the video. It lets YouTube know that we're doing something good here and that you like this content so it can recommend it to other people. And guys, if you happen to see a hype button after you click the thumbs up, go ahead and click it. It will push our video to however many people that star shows. That would really help us. So go ahead and hype our video, please. Thank you.
All right. And don't forget don't forget to subscribe. So, as we always say in closing,
this is Unfiltered Heart Talks, and you deserve this kind of love.
A love that is honest.
A love that is safe. And a love that is aligned with God's design.
See you guys for
another one.